Welcome to the Blind Justice Podcast, where you discover the insider secrets of injury and accident cases, and all of your law questions get answered. Now, here's your host, Chicago injury lawyer, Scott DeSalvo.
Hey guys, I'm not going to tell you who I am because, as we discovered in the last podcast, you all know who I am because you just listened to the intro. But my lovely and talented podcast co-host, Amelia Finnefrock, is joining me once again.
Hello, hello, hello.
Amelia, what are we doing here today?
What are we doing?
Is it so different?
It's, yeah. Well, what we're doing right now is we're going to be answering questions that people have submitted to us. That's what's been the norm so far, but we're going to be switching it up pretty soon. So, because I hear that someone's going to be singing a theme song at the very end of this podcast.
Don't threaten me that way. I'll do whatever you want. No threats.
Okay, Alec Baldwin.
No, you're actually a good singer, so it's not a threat. I just don't want to put you on.
No, I was saying you're going to sing
I'm
the theme
going to
song.
sing?
Yeah. I mean, I know I'm a good singer, but like...
Before I launch into song, ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid we're having technical difficulties.
Oh, convenient. So convenient. Is there a squirrel on the mic?
I don't know. That's my like analog low tech. We're having technical difficulties.
Yes.
I don't have that.
With the wrapper up against the mic.
Yeah, I feel like I have to incorporate this into the podcast, though.
Don't you know who I am?
You have to love Christopher Walken.
Don't you know who I am?
Again, I have all these. What is this? Oh, here we go.
All I want out of this trial was a fair shake. I'm going up there, I'm going to try it, I'm going to let the jury decide.
I love that quote.
amazing.
It's from Paul Newman, The Verdict.
That's awesome.
Now everybody knows this is a legal podcast 100%.
That should be your intro. Just that on a
I'm
loop.
thinking about it. Like, maybe we could do that and then add music behind
Yes.
it. I like the intro that we have, but I feel like it's getting played out. We've been using it a lot.
Maybe. Because this
Or
way
we could have
can...
alternate ones, right?
Right, yeah. And then I could introduce you, and then you could introduce me, and then I could introduce you, and then you could play the kazoo me in.
And no, folks, that is not a dirty euphemism, and shame on you for your minds going there. We're platonic friends, and we keep it very professional.
We keep it kazoo-like,
All right, before this train derails any further.
Jeez, seriously.
And with no further ado.
I have a question to ask you, Mr. Lawyer Scott DeSalvo. Mr. Lawyer. All right. I might have a case for the Chicago workers' comp lawyer. I work in the kitchen of a hospital. I hurt my back lifting large bags of flour and rice. Everything was going good, but then my doctor said I needed back surgery. Now everything has changed. They want to fire me, and they want to settle my case before I have surgery. So my question is, what is the case worth, and should I just settle and have the surgery?
Okay, so this sort of issue definitely comes up in workers' comp more often than I wish it would, but it does, right? So the thing is, when the company pays everything and you're off work and they're sending you your checks and you go to the doctor and they pay the doctors promptly, that's called an accepted case, right? Now, the truth is that just because a workers' comp insurance company initially pays everything and it's an accepted case does not mean that the case always has to go that way. Mm-hmm. They can pretty much decide at any time to dispute the case. Now, is that fair? Are they technically allowed to just dispute a case that there's no reason to dispute just to save money? Are they allowed to do that?
I don't think so.
The judge is not going to look kindly on that, right? So there's a mechanism for when somebody starts cutting off benefits called 19B. So that's just the rule under the Workers' Comp Act where you can get in front of a judge on an expedited basis and say, tattletale. Judge, they stopped paying. There's no reason.
19B, mic drop, case closed. What?
Yes.
Something like that.
If it was like a lawyer TV show, that's exactly how it would go. Unfortunately, expedited hearing in the real world, sometimes it takes time, right? So you have to schedule it.
Expedited, though. You'd think that it would be like chop chop.
They have to stop paying benefits for 6 weeks before you can even go in front of the judge on a 19B, which is crazy, right?
That's ridiculous.
But it's the way it is. Also, the judges are very busy. They have a lot of cases.
Right.
And if they're on vacation or they get sick or they, have to skip their call for an emergency, it can really set you back. So it's important for people to know you can't just get in court the next day with a judge, but there is a mechanism to address hanky-panky like that, cutting off benefits for no reason, right?
Yeah.
But what they usually do is when they're ready to fight a case, when they know that a case went from, in this person's case, it sounds like in their minds it probably went from like a back strain, lower-end case, to a pretty serious case, because a back surgery serious, right?
Yeah.
And it's expensive.
Very.
And here's the thing, a certain percentage of back surgeries go wrong, where the person's not cured, they need another back surgery. In some cases, they get worse, but that's very rare. But it's still a risk, right? It's a risk. So what companies usually do is they send the injured person out for an IME, independent medical exam. I hate that term. It's not independent.
It sounds made up.
They pick a doctor. They pay the doctor to examine the injured person.
Hi, that sounds really fishy. I'm no doctor.
It's the law. They should call it defense medical exam, because that's really what it is, right? The insurance company is hiring their own doctor who they send a ton of business to. Let me ask you, Amelia, if you were being paid tons of money from someone, would you want to please them, or would you like to make them angry at you?
Please them.
Yes. So that's exactly why, they send these injured workers in workers' comp cases to independent medical examiners. And the independent medical examiner examines the person and then usually says they're not hurt to the extent claimed, or they're injured, but I don't find it to be work-related. Or I find the first 6 weeks of care to be work-related and the other part is not work-related. Like,
really?
Literally, they
Seriously?
come up with...
That's funny.
But here's the thing. The problem is the judge or the arbitrator in workers' comp is required to consider the doctor's opinion, right? The judge can also consider bias, but at the end of the day, now they have like something to hang their hat on for denying benefits, right?
Do you think the judges are aware of this? Like, okay, so...
Yeah. There are judges with bad reputations who treat injured people or doctors. Yeah. There are doctors with bad reputations who treat injured people. There are doctors with bad reputations who do these independent medical exams, right? But at the end of the day, the judges have to make a decision.
Right.
And what I usually tell people is, if you have been holding off talking to a lawyer in your Chicago workers' comp case, and everything's been going great, and then all of a sudden you sense their attitude change, their approach, the way they treat you change, and all of a sudden they want you to go to an IME, it may be that they are setting you up to beat your case. And if they're setting you up, to beat your case, 100% you should talk to a lawyer. Even if you don't hire a lawyer is going to be able to confirm for you whether they think the fix is in and they're trying to, defeat your claim or minimize what the recovery is, right? Especially with a back surgery, do not mess around, right?
No. Oh, God, no.
Sometimes people get a little sensitive, like they're like, I don't want to hire a lawyer. I want to save the 20% fee. But again, a workers' comp lawyer only gets paid if they win the case, and the fee is 20% statutorily.
Right.
So it's way less of a fee than in other kinds of injury cases like nursing home abuse or car crash, fall down, medical malpractice. Those are higher percentage fees. In comp, it's set by law by 20%. Or
it's not bad.
No, it really isn't. And in a potentially big case, it can make a difference.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Second thing I want to say real quick, and I don't want to belabor the point, but nobody can tell you what your case is worth until after you have that surgery and we know what your outcome is, right? So let's say you have a back surgery, and after the back surgery, you're as good as new. You can do everything you used to do. You have no pain. That's one fact scenario. Second fact scenario, you have the back surgery. You're 50% better. You see the doctor. The doctor says, you're as good as you're ever going to get. You're never going to get any better. You're never going to be able to return to work.
Oh, my God.
Are those two cases worth the same amount of money?
No.
Right. And that is exactly why anybody who's been ordered a serious medical procedure, you got to go have it. And we got to wait to see what your outcome is before we can really say anything about, what the case might be worth. The other thing is, once you settle your case, the company is technically off the hook. Now, it depends on the settlement language in the contract. But if they settle the case and give her what might seem to her to be a good amount of money,
Right.
and then she needs the surgery, guess what? She can't go to them with the surgical bill. Once she settles the case,
It's done.
they're off the hook.
She can't come back.
Let's go back to scenario 2. The surgery doesn't work perfectly. The doctor examines her and now says, you need another surgery. Now she needs a second surgery. The case is settled. You know what I mean? Or let's say, God forbid, she gets worse.
Right.
Right?
Oh my God. Yeah.
That's
that would
why.
be terrible.
It always really freaks me out when somebody's got a serious injury like this and they're afraid to call it a lawyer.
It's like, what do you got to lose?
And the company jumps on them and says, "Oh, you don't need a lawyer. We're gonna take care of you. Here's some money. You don't want that surgery anyway." It's a problem, right?
It is a problem.
Once the case is settled, the company can fire her. So now she can't work. I'm assuming, is this a woman? I'm assuming it was a woman.
I assumed it was a man. I don't know.
So maybe it's a
can't
man.
tell.
Me neither. So let's say it's a man. Now this guy maybe can't do that job anymore. He has a lump sum of money in his pocket. Maybe it's a good amount of money. Maybe it's not. He needs an expensive future surgery. He doesn't know what his outcome's going to be. The case settles. Now they don't have to pay for the surgery, and they can let him go because he can't do the job anymore.
That is terrible.
Yeah.
That's so terrible.
I'm telling you, certain states in the United States have changed their workers' comp law to eliminate lawyers from the process, and all it does is hurt the injured worker.
That's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, they've changed Illinois comp law a couple of times to reduce costs, in theory. My opinion is that it limits workers' rights already. But in places like California and Texas, where they have eviscerated workers' comp, I mean, you know me, I practice mainly in Illinois, but I get calls from people from Texas and California, like begging me to help them.
Oh my God.
Because they're really, but I have friends all over the United States who do injury law, and you call them and say, look, there's very little that can be done because those systems have cut out the lawyer because they know they can control costs. Control costs is code for not getting people the help they need.
That is terrible.
Right?
That is so terrible.
Yeah, it is. And so that's, there's a lot of worry and concern in Illinois about further workers' comp reforms. But while you have the benefit of the laws the way they are in Illinois,
Seriously.
if you're in this sort of situation, call a lawyer and by God, protect yourself, because it's really true that many companies, you're loyal and you're part of the family and they care about you. But the minute that the dollars don't make sense, they're going to replace you. And then you're going to be at home wondering how you're going to make rent, wondering how you're going to get medical care,
Right.
wondering if you're ever going to be able to work again.
Right.
I mean, you have to, it's scary and it's all the rest of it, but you have to take steps to protect yourself, right?
Right. Oh,
So
yeah.
anyway, not the most happy rainbow discussion
not.
ever, but
No.
the thing is, a lot of this stuff is not sweetness and light and rainbows and
Right.
puppies, right?
But now you know, right, what to in that moment.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we could summarize, if we were going to change the podcast format and I was just going to do like 8 seconds, I would be like, call a lawyer. Thank you. Thanks for listening. Next week, the advice will be call a lawyer, just like it was 2 weeks ago.
Seriously, yes.
I mean, I know it's ridiculous, and we do give people other good information too,
Right.
but man, free consultation where your life and your prosperity and the prosperity of your family may be hanging in the balance,
Why not?
get free advice.
Exactly. It's free
I wish
advice.
lawyers were nicer to people, because then people would be more willing to call.
I think so too. I think lawyers have gotten a bad rap, but
Well, some of them. Like, I try to be nice,
Oh,
right?
no, you're amazing. Like, you are the nicest.
I try to be nice. A client just yelled at me because I didn't call her back right away today. I'm like,
Hey,
sweetheart, do you know how busy I am? Honest to God.
listen, I'm a human too. Yeah. Tell them.
Anyway,
She needs.
this is not the Listen to Scott Crab about his client show.
I don't know. That could be a segment.
Yeah, anyway. Folks, thanks for listening. If you have a question, please submit it. We're happy to answer it on air or off. And if you have a case and you have some questions about it, please don't hesitate to contact me or any of the other fine injury and workers' comp lawyers all over Chicagoland, Greater Illinois, United States, Nova Scotia, and parts southerly and northerly and easterly and westerly.
God, the lawyer.
Thanks again.
Thanks for listening. I truly hope that the information in the podcast helps you no matter the situation you find yourself in. But you might need more answers or some more direct help. So there are 3 ways for you easily to find out more and to get help. If you call my toll-free 24-hour helpline, 888-HURT-318, you'll have a couple of options. 888-HURT-318 is my toll-free 24-hour telephone line. You can call that number and speak with my team night or day. First, you can call 888-HURT-318, and you can speak to me for a free consultation about your case or situation. That's always free and no obligation. Second, you can tell the operator that you'd like a free copy of my injury DVD and book. I created the DVD and book, and I give it away for free to injured people who need answers, but who might not be ready to talk to a lawyer yet. Same deal, 100% free, 100% no obligation. Third and finally, you can check out my YouTube channel for informative videos about the injury case and claims process, or check out my other podcasts for more information and interesting interviews with people who know different things about various aspects of the law. I've put all of this together to help you and to answer your questions. Now, you can also help me, and I hope that you will. If you enjoyed the podcast and if it helped you at all, please subscribe, and if you can, take a minute and please post a positive review of the show. If you're listening to the podcast on YouTube, like the video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you know anyone who might enjoy the podcast, please spread the word and share it on Facebook. It's my mission to spread good information to as many people as possible, and your liking and reviewing and subscribing to the podcast helps me get the word out. Thanks again. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It doesn't substitute for consulting with a lawyer. If you have a case, speak with a lawyer right away.